Hey everybody, how are you? Hope you are well. So today we're going to talk about the biggest lie in real estate. And what that is that you actually own your home. So you don't own your home. Guess who owns your home? The government. The government owns your home. And so I will give you some examples. So this is if you have not completely paid the house off, the government owns your home. And if you have completely paid it off, the government owns your home. So it doesn't matter if it's not paid off or it is paid off. The government owns it. Can you believe that? They can come take your home whenever they get ready. So I'll give you some examples. So, one example, say you still owe money on your home and you don't pay your mortgage. So eventually, if you continue not paying your mortgage, they're going to come take their house back. Now, of course, there's no reason to have concern because if you get into any kind of bind like that where you can't pay your mortgage, you can always call and ask for forbearance and things like that. They do have things in place like that to help you where there weren't things in place before where they just let a whole bunch of people get foreclosed on. Um, in fact, that's what people are waiting for now. They're waiting for a big foreclosure to happen. But there's more support out here now than there was previously. So they have things like just getting on the phone and asking for forbearance if you're having difficulties. But eventually, if you just ignore it, you know how some people have great capacity to ignore things, bills, people. If you continue to ignore it and you don't pay your mortgage, eventually they're going to come take the house. So that's one example who owns the house. Um, Another example, don't pay your taxes. So if you don't pay your taxes, of course, they do give you some time, right? They give you time. But if you just continue to ignore it and you never pay your taxes, and say a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years has gone by and you haven't paid anything on taxes. So guess what's going to happen? So they're going to evict you. So who's the owner? You bought the house, but you didn't pay taxes. So they're going to evict you because you didn't pay the taxes. So who owns the home? So another example, don't cut your grass. So you know what happens if you don't cut your grass? So eventually you're going to get a fine in the mail. They're going to fine you for not cutting your grass on your property. Another example, tax increases. You have tax increases that they occur every year. So they do have a process where you can fight the tax increases, but generally your taxes will increase every year. And so you don't dictate that. Somebody else is dictating that what's going to happen every year for your property. Um, Another example, if you need major repairs done, you have to apply for a permit and you apply through the government. You have to get government approval for a permit to do major repairs on property. So you have to get their approval. So who owns the home? Another example, um, for big repairs, say for example, you need a new roof, you have to get a licensed contractor. You can't do the work yourself. You have to get a licensed contractor. That licensed contractor is licensed through the government. So you can't do the work yourself. You don't have the say so on whether you do the work yourself or not. For things like roofs, the more expensive type repairs, you have to get a licensed contractor. So these are just some examples that show you that you don't really own your home, even though you think you own it. So don't you find that to be very interesting? I know I find that to be interesting. So essentially, what you're doing is you're renting from the government. You're renting from the government. And this is even if you have a paid off house. So don't you think that's interesting? So that's pretty eye opening, isn't it? I think it's very eye opening. So makes you wonder what other lies are out here that people are believing. So even though this reality exists, real estate is still a way to build your wealth. And you're building your wealth because you're increasing your net worth. It helps you to increase your net worth because the home appreciates, the value appreciates. And this is what is increasing your net worth. So it's helping you to build wealth just because you bought a property. So the person who is renting and um, they decided not to buy a property, they don't have an appreciating asset. But because you bought a property, you have an appreciating asset. So this builds your net worth. It helps you to build your net worth. So that is one reason why real estate is a good asset to get into. But just be aware of what's really going on. And then with this awareness, it's a good idea to think about other ventures that you can get into uh, to add to your collection. Instead of just having one lane, think about other ventures that you can get into that you own solely. Like, what can you own without having a body over you? What can you own that's solely yours? So I like for you to think about that. And if you would like to share, you can put it in the comments. But just think about that, adding other revenue streams instead of just having one revenue stream or instead of just having two revenue streams. Um, See, most of these revenue streams, they're not owned by you. So, for example, YouTube. YouTube is owned by someone, right? So they dictate the rules. Your job that you go to, someone else is dictating the rules. The house that you live in, someone else is dictating the rules. So, what can you own where you are the only one dictating the rules? I'd like for you to think about that. Also, think about getting into various things, not just one thing and not just two things. All right. So, if you like the channel, please hit the like button. If you're not a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button and notification bell next to it so that you won't miss an episode. And leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. And don't forget, hit that like button on your way out. Thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day.